says that we're on here just a few minutes early. Hopefully I've fixed some of the stressors of being live, but so I can focus on, the content and not also be behind the camera. Can't do both, Jason said, and other people have said to me. So I'm going to get this in the background. I'm not going to be in the background. It's in the background too. Start just a few minutes. I'll just make sure. Maybe I shouldn't even do that. I'm not even going to look at it. I'm just going to have it fully background. Okay. All right, Jason. I see what you're doing. Let's see if that works. Cut off and I won't know. Ugh, it happens all the time when I'm talking to people on the phone. How many times I've a lot of time and had no idea that they way early in the story and we'd already guarded to let it get cut off here. I'm gonna be done. I'm gonna be done with the ability to light some candles. I encourage you to get this space. And I, as an adult, I'm going to work on not speaking as fast so that everybody can understand me. Jason, welcome. This is Badass Bible. I don't know why I have to. And, it's probably important because that collection of books is. So how can we engage the Bible in a girl, I was going to call her, which technically she is, or technically she's not. Regardless, Louisa, a picture that I shot in of art. I feel like that was like a mistake. I loved how he was just like, the camera is just another person, and there were a lot of people. Take off my shoes. We always need to bring our own content story that we encounter in the Bible. We have to know our own context. Doesn't when we engage with the story, we're bringing our own context into that story. An adult in the White House and actual plans for the recognized. Anyways, point of all that is that quarantining is one thing. Quarantining alone. How or not. James and Jesus said, what do you want me to do for you? They said, grant us to sit, one at your yamin and one at your left hand in your. And Jesus said, you don't know what you're asking. Well, they came to, and as Jesus and his disciples and a large crowd were leaving Jericho to shout and say, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Nearby sternly ordered him to be quiet, but he shouted on me. And Jesus stood still. And he said to them, bring here. And throwing off his cloak, anapadesas. Elthan pros Tanya soon. And he came to Jesus. And Jesus said, what do you do for you? Bartimaeus said, Rabbi, again. And Jesus said, go. Your faith. Gained his sight, and he followed Jesus on the way. This is the story of our people. Just going to check once. That seems to be doing okay. That seems to still be online. Here's what I noticed about that story. I've seen that I did a little creative editing, which totally fine if you. Revised Common Lectionary splits up the Bible 7 ways to Sunday. So the least that we can do sometimes is connect things. Although I did go from Mark chapter 10, verses 35 to 38, and then I jumped to chapter. So there's a connection here, I think, between what James and John, who Jesus calls Boanerges, is kind of like a nickname, sidekicks, sons of thunder. What they ask of Jesus is so compared to what Bartimaeus asks him. And Jesus, of course, asks the same thing. What do you want me to do for you? After he has to do this kind of long explanation of why James and John were so wrong to say what they said or to ask what they asked. It seems like Boanerges, they were asking from a place of privilege, right? We're already this, we follow you, we hang out with you. Yo, let us sit at the right and the left hand, man. I love Yamin. Just as a sidebar, it's where we get the name Benjamin, son of my right hand. Yamin is right hand. But yeah, Jesus goes off on a little tangent, which I've done many times. I get that. But then he comes back. I think then we are drawn back in the story because then they come to Jericho and they leave and there's this huge crowd, right? I think there's also this piece in the story I want to tell again just because I forgot to put it in. That was my editing fault. Jesus stood still, and then he said to them, "Bring him here." And they said to him, "Get up, take heart. He's calling you." And throwing off his cloak, anapadesas, right? That word can be translated, since I checked with one of my translating gurus, shout out to Professor Richard Swanson. Check out his Provoking the Bible series. He said it could be translated resurrected. So that anapadesas, that springing up that the NRSV translates, it could be something much more powerful. The verb itself he is resurrecting. It's just a powerful story. He's also, this is right before Jesus enters into the city for the first time, and the people encounter him with shouts of Hosanna. We see that mirrored, I think, in the people in this story, right? First, they sternly order him to shut the F up. He's being too loud. He's being too disrespectful. But then Jesus calls them, and they cannot, of course, we always meant to do that. The people then receive Jesus into Jerusalem with Hosanna, and then, of course, a week later, they're going to be yelling, "Crucify him." I'm just fascinated by this story, by a lot of Mark as well. The Gospel of Mark, which, speaking, is the best. There's a lot of foreshadowing going on here, but I think also just the way in which Mark composes stories, and those stories are echoed later. And we have the people just changing course so quickly. Maybe the story reminding us that it's really more of the insistence Bartimaeus. Not saying I know what it means to be blind or a beggar at all, and recognizing the ways in which sometimes these stories play into ableist understandings, ableist narratives, to recognize the ways in which we are ableist. Those of us who are able-bodied, as the Reverend Laura Groen says, those of us who are able-bodied now, who are to have all the uses of our limbs. There are those levels as well to the story. But I guess for me at the end, Jesus says go, and Bartimaeus. And then those last three words are where we get the most ancient, the earliest name for Christians, followers of the way. So Bartimaeus is kind of transfiguring Jesus as also talking to Jesus. Very weird, very all over the place. I encourage you to take out a Bible, preferably a translation you like to read, and also preferably that you say it out loud. You don't need to learn. These stories were originally told around campfires out loud to others. That's how we know of them. And at some point when we don't have to guidelines around social distancing and mask wearing, we can do that again. These are how stories were shared. They were not read silently by yourself. And even if you're sheltering in place alone, remember, you can say it out better if you're alone, because then just my neighbors and next door might wonder what I scream about sometimes. That's it. So I'm going to make